Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and there is a storm blowing in right now, and it is blowing in good. We could have the bottom drop out of this thing here shortly. So I'll get through this video, but if we do have a major storm, you will get to experience it with me. And hopefully the power will not go out on me. Crypto Bitlord sent 2 tweets. This guy is like, I enjoy reading his tweets, and every once in a while he'll post a video. He seems like a pretty smart guy, and so when he sends, he sends out a lot of provocative tweets to try to get things going. But I do think that he is being sincere with these tweets that he's sending out here recently. He's big on this. He says, if you're not in altcoins right now, you're not thinking, and I totally agree with him right now. I think that you'll see a lot of surging going on soon in these altcoins. And then he also tweeted out, it's not a question if XRP will pump, only when. And he's right about that one too. If there's any digital asset, and I'm not saying this just because I like XRP, I'm just saying the way that all of the digital assets that are on like CoinMarketCap, the way that they behave, if there's any one digital asset that's ready to take off, it would be XRP. Even if you're not into XRP, it's one of those that has legitimate real things going on and has every reason to take off. But its turn is here, in my opinion. Okay, I wanted to show you this. Now, I went over an article where I covered the fact that Brian Kelly from CNBC had said some of these things, but I wanted to, this was the video that went where he had said it, and then they summarized it in an article. And Crypto Dave here, at Crypto Dave 13, he says, this guy on Fast Money is saying that Asia is eating the USA alive with cryptocurrency regulation. We sure weren't hearing stuff like this from the mainstream media a year ago. Now we are. Now, I listened to this 2 or 3 times and typed out a couple things he said that you need to hear. He says, first he says, this is where finance is going, and he's talking about how Asia, how the U.S., he's worried that the U.S. has already been left behind. And then he says, we talk about on here how Netflix changed cable. In other words, digital assets are about to change finance, is what he was getting at. And he said, here we are, we're sitting here in New York, which is supposed to be the center of finance for the world, and we're way behind on this. And so he's really like screaming into the television, more or less, hey, everybody, we need to get our act together. It's amazing that the United States, and I'm going to show you some more ridiculousness of this too here in a sec. This is, the United States should be ashamed at what I'm about to show you. NBK Crypto, at NBKLYRAD, sent me this. Bye-bye USA, Apple legend, one of the creators of Apple legend Steve Wozniak heads to Malta to develop new blockchain report. Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, is reportedly developing a new blockchain-based startup in Malta. Wozniak's new venture called eForce will focus on making energy consumption more efficient and transparent, saving money and doing good for the environment. He joins the firm's co-founder and project lead, however you say that name. And he says, eForce is a unique business model and we can have a great impact on the entrepreneurship. And then down here, he's praising Malta for its leadership in the race to accommodate blockchain and crypto entrepreneurs. By developing a clear regulatory framework for startup companies, Wozniak expressed his interest in living in the small European island country located in the Mediterranean. It has been on my mind for decades like no other place in the world. Meanwhile, here in the United States, we have our moron politicians who probably can't even balance a checkbook, who are talking about Bitcoin and complaining about all these digital assets. These people this is how you lose your superpower status. Put a bunch of morons in control that don't know anything about anything and let them lead us into the ditch. Meanwhile, people who created industries such as Steve Wozniak are leaving to go to Malta because we have little tiny islands that are beating the USA to the punch. And why? Because the US has gotten too big and too fat and too happy and too rich. And now we have a bunch of arrogant politicians who are stifling our growth because they're all fat and happy and they think we can just sit around on our hands and watch the rest of the world develop. And that is how you lose your power, folks. That's how it's done. Watch these people because they're showing you how it's done. It is shameful. It's disgusting to watch. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. There's that rant. Next, this person had put this up. SWIFT is more decentralized than XRP. Its ownership is spread among many banks all over the world. Can Ripple say the same about their infrastructure? This is obviously from someone who has no earthly idea what they're talking about. So then we get a thread going here. XRP researcher says, what are you comparing? Do you know what SWIFT is? And then they say SWIFT is more decentralized from an organizational and development perspective than Ripple and XRP are. I mean, it's almost, this is one of those examples of someone getting in like up to their eyeballs before they realize it, and all of a sudden they're surrounded by brilliant people and realize just how unequipped for this debate that they are. That's what you're seeing unfold here. Link, with all due respect, you really don't know what you're talking about. How am I wrong? And this right here is, if I was this person that wrote this comment, this right here is where I get really scared and I'm kind of like, well, maybe it's time to go watch a movie. David Schwartz then comes in, he says, every SWIFT transaction goes through SWIFT servers, and SWIFT has the right and ability to approve them. Nothing like that is true of XRP or RippleNet. And then Tiffany Hayden, who's also very smart, comes in. And then all of a sudden, as I just said, this Link Salem, I guess they went off and decided to go do something else. And I want to make a point here. I've been watching these type of debates go on Twitter and just in general, whether it's XRP chat and different places over the last 5 years, really. I mean, I wasn't actively involved, but I saw this stuff when I would go to read things. One thing that I can tell you for certain, I've never, not one time, have I ever seen anyone, no matter how technologically oriented they are, never seen anyone come close to defeating David Schwartz in a debate on Twitter or online in a discussion of XRP versus any other digital asset that competes with what XRP represents. Never, not even close. I've even seen some of these guys fold and apologize, but I've never seen anybody come close to being able to argue with him the merits of another digital asset as compared to XRP. Ever, never, not close. Here comes the rain. Maybe we'll get some thunder too. XRP Crypto Wolf. G7 agreed on several crypto initiatives and fast regulatory responses to projects like Libra, calling for them to meet the highest standards in financial regulation. The final report and recommendations are expected by the IMF World Bank annual meetings in October. The G7 has set up a working group on stablecoins. The group consists initially of senior officials from G7 central banks, the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, and the FSB. The chair's summary reveals it will expand to representatives of G7 ministries of finance. And then he came in here. I'm opening up these blinds because it is starting to pour. Wanted to see what was going on out there. Okay, XRP Crypto Wolf again. Fidelity Digital Asset Services, the crypto arm of Wall Street brokerage firm Fidelity, has filed its application to be a New York trust. A New York trust license would allow it to serve New York traders in all realms of its business. Do not think for a minute, folks, that Fidelity or any of these other brokers are just going to go into institutional. These jokers are coming all the way in, and that includes retail before it's over. Okay, from NBK Crypto at NBKLYRAAD sent me this video. This is great, folks, because the hand motion that you're seeing right here out of this guy, you're looking at my thumbnail, because you'll never guess what this guy on RT is saying as he does this. He is saying level playing field, folks. So that will be my thumbnail right there. But this is from RT, and it is a great video clip. It says Iran, Venezuela, or why U.S. is attacking crypto. Explain. What he's saying here, he's talking about how these countries try to get around sanctions. Traditionally, the U.S. can stranglehold them and drive the value of their currencies down. And what they're saying on here is exactly what we've been talking about for a long time now, which is that crypto represents a changing of the guard, folks. There will be no power that is able to keep all of this reined in, folks. That's why I've said the U.S., the reason that all these countries have been squirming for the last 7 years about cryptocurrencies is for two reasons. The first one is taxes. That's the first thing they care about. And the second thing is having control over the money. And the control over the money is that's what the U.S. being able to sanction these countries. That's just one example of having the control over the money that is bothering the U.S. right now. Well, these guys on RT, which this is a Russian-owned channel, they're kind of spelling it out here about how that's what this is really all about. But a really good video, and he said what's really going on is a lot of these smaller countries want to level the playing field so that these more powerful countries like the U.S. don't have all of this power anymore. And I think I keep saying this genie's out of the bottle. I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. I don't think they can stop it. And then not to mention the fact that you have privacy currencies. I've said for a long time, I believe this is all going to end in, I know other countries in the world already have this, but the U.S., this will end in flat taxes. And I welcome it, like a flat sales tax or something, because the IRS, it's gotten to be a big bunch of confusion, in my opinion. I would rather have some type of flat tax. Okay, this is definitely something I'm not going to go through this because it's so thorough. The guy did such a great job, but you should. If you really want to understand just how big what Ripple and XRP represent, you need to go spend an hour of your time and go through this thread. It's from I Am Legion at PAISAN 268-49860. Go to the whole thread, read all through this. He's got documentation. He's collected some of the most important documentation of what's been going on. Go see it. And finally, I've found this to be true in life. XRP community, after explaining the failing, again, people who just don't want to see it or believe it, that's right. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Albert Einstein. I've made a life out of this. Stay away from negative people. Negativity does nothing for you. Zero, zip, nada. In fact, when I was a financial advisor, they told us to stay away from negative people. Run the other way. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family to stay away from negative people. Thank you for listening.